Welcome to Grammar and Writing Lesson 15. Have your notebooks out, ready to get started with the vocabulary. Our first word is the word heresy. Heresy. This means an opinion or doctrine that disagrees with the doctrine of a church or deviates from accepted beliefs or standards. Okay, so let's break this down a little bit. So an opinion or doctrine. A doctrine, remember, that is like a core belief of something. So every week with your verse that you learn, you get a doctrine question and you are presenting doctrine. So those are the core beliefs behind Christianity that you learn every week for Bible. So that's the idea of a doctrine. It's that statement of a core belief. So if you have an opinion or doctrine that disagrees, so it is not de acuerdo with the doctrine of a church, or it deviates, so that means it goes against, it goes away from accepted beliefs or standards. So it's an opinion or a core belief that goes against what is generally accepted, what is generally believed, what is the general standard of living. That's heresy. For example, the perceived heresy of Martin Luther infuriated the Roman Catholic Church. So if you're not familiar with Martin Luther went against the Roman Catholic Church when he made a statement that we do not get saved by good works or anything like that. It's by faith in Jesus Christ. The Roman Catholic Church for the longest time was not preaching that, still is not preaching that. And he went against them and said, no, that's not how you get saved. And so they called that heresy. So heresy can be both good in that way because he went against a belief that was wrong. But normally we use heresy in a negative sense, going against beliefs that are right. Now this next word is similar, but it is not the same, so don't get them confused. Hypocrisy. Hypocrisy is pretending to follow religious, moral, upright, or virtuous beliefs when, when one does not really possess them. So remember we talked about Ananias and Sapphira, how they were hypocrites. They were pretending to want to give money and put everything together like everyone else was, but that's really not what they wanted to do. They just wanted to look good. They were being hypocrites. So pretending to follow religious, moral, upright, or virtuous beliefs when one does not really possess them. So it's not really in your character. For example, the treasurer's claim that he was guarding the funds would be money, was hypocrisy, for in reality, he was embezzling money. So the person pretending that they are saving money when really they're embezzling, that means taking the money for yourself and spending it. That's hypocrisy. It's going against what you say you're doing. All right, let's practice. Fill in the blank with the correct vocabulary word. Number 1, saying you have no money to help a needy family and then taking a luxurious vacation, luxurious means very fancy, might be an example of which one? All right, number 2. A Christian who believed there was no God could be accused of, we'll go in that blank. And number 3. Miss Gossip displayed blank by heaping compliments on her guests while making sarcastic remarks about them behind their backs. So what would she be displaying? Heaping means when we heap something, normally you're thinking of in the physical sense, you're piling on more. So in this sense, it means she keeps saying compliments, continues giving a bunch of compliments to her guests while making sarcastic remarks about them behind their backs. All right, let's check out the answers. So for number 1, saying you have no money to help a needy family and then taking a luxurious vacation might be an example of hypocrisy because you say you have no money, but then you spend a lot of money on vacation. So it's kind of not true, right? You're pretending to look like you care, but you don't. Number 2, a Christian who believed there was no God could be accused of heresy because you can't be a Christian and say that there is no God because a Christian has accepted Jesus as their Savior. Number 3, Miss Gossip displayed Hypocrisy, by heaping compliments on her guests while making sarcastic remarks about them behind her back. So she was pretending to look like she wanted to encourage her guests and make them feel good, and really she did not have nice things to say about them. Let's continue with capitalization. We are almost finished with capitalization. Rule 8. Make sure that you are writing these down and learning them. Some of them you probably already know. They're probably already committed to your English knowledge. But make sure that you're writing them down anyway so you can study them. Make sure that you're following them when you write. So we capitalize titles that are used with the names of people. Often these are initials or abbreviations. So any title that is used with someone's name, it's many times an initial or an abbreviation. For example, T.S. Eliot. T and S are the initials of his name, so we capitalize T and S. Dr. Stanley Livingston. Doctor, the D in doctor, that's an abbreviation, and it says his title is Dr. Dr. Stanley Livingston. So the D in doctor is capitalized because it's the beginning of his title, and it's Dr, which is an abbreviation for doctor. Mr. and Mrs. Ralph Martinez. We capitalize these two M's here because they are abbreviations for Mr. and Mrs., which are the titles used with their name. General Ulysses S. Grant. So General, that is part of his title, no abbreviation there. And then S is an initial. So it stands for a name, but it's just one letter to stand for his name, his middle name. Reverend Billy Graham. The R in Reverend is capitalized because it's his title. Grandma Ivana. We capitalize the G in Grandma because that's what her title is used with her name in that sentence. Uncle Charles. Uncle is his title, so you capitalize it. And Aunt Susie. Again, Aunt would be her title, so we capitalize the A in Aunt. Rule 9. Capitalize family words unless they are being used with a possessive pronoun. So this is what I mean by family words. Words like father, mother, grandmother, grandpa, aunt, uncle. So we just looked at that in our previous slide with titles. When they're being used with a name, they are acting as a title for that person. But when they're being used without a name, then we just consider it a family word. And you still need to capitalize it, even though it's no longer a title, it's being used in place of their name. So you capitalize it unless it's being used with a possessive pronoun. These are the possessive pronouns: my, your, his, her, their, our. So for example, hey mom, thanks for the delicious meal. I thanked my mom for the spaghetti dinner. There's a difference. In front of, here we just have mom with no possessive pronoun in front of it. Here we do have a possessive pronoun, the word my. So because of that word my, let me get a little pen here. Okay, because of this word my, this possessive pronoun, we no longer capitalize it. Some of you who have been with me already know there's a little test to help you just in case you forget. If you can put a name in place of the family word and it sounds fine, then you would capitalize it. If you cannot put a name in place of the family word because of that possessive pronoun, it would sound funny, then you do not capitalize it. For example, my mom's name is Jan, so I'm going to put her name in there. Hey Jan, thanks for the delicious meal. Does that sound fine? Yeah, it does. So I would capitalize mom because it's taking the place of her name. How about in the second sentence? I thanked my Jan for the spaghetti dinner. Does that sound right? No. We don't typically call people my and then their name. That doesn't really make any sense. Okay? So we don't use possessive pronouns right in front of somebody's name. So because that doesn't sound right, we don't capitalize it. Look at another example. Fred asked Uncle to spend Christmas with him. So here we have the word uncle. There's no possessive pronoun in front of it. I could change that to any other name. Fred asked Jimmy to spend Christmas with him, and it would work. But here, Fred asked his uncle to spend Christmas with him. I would not say Fred asked his Jimmy to spend Christmas with him. So here, uncle is capitalized because there's no possessive pronoun in front of it. But here, it's not because you have that possessive pronoun, his, in front of it. So we would not capitalize it. All right, so now we're going to move on to the next slide. Rule number 10, capitalize the name of a school subject when it comes from a proper name or goes with a class number. Capitalize the name of a school subject when it comes from a proper name or it goes with a class number. For example, Portuguese. That would be when you're studying the language of Portuguese. So we capitalize that because it comes from a proper noun. It comes from Portugal. So it's derived from Portugal. We capitalize it. Chemistry. Is that a proper name? No, it's not. Does it have a class number with it? Nope. So it stays lowercase. Chinese. We have a capital C because it comes from China, proper noun. Chemistry 101. Here we have a class number, so we capitalize the C in chemistry as opposed to in the earlier one where there was no number. Because this time it's not a specific class. Industrial arts. Again, it's a class in general, so no capital letters. Language arts. Again, no capital letter because there's no number. It's just a general class. All right, so let's practice. Add capital letters where they are needed. Number 1, we credit inventor Thomas A. Edison with the invention of electrical devices. So rewrite this sentence on your paper, capitalizing any words that need to be capitalized. Number 2, don't forget to pause the video. So write, I am going to ask Auntie to take me to the library. Number 3, the student needs one more Spanish class in order to graduate. Number 4, oh no, Dad, our phone service has been discontinued. Number 5, Barbara Bush is the wife of former President George H.W. Bush. And number 6, my dad refuses to install cable television. All right, pause the video and rewrite those sentences. I'm going to go on to the answers right now. Number 1, we credit inventor Thomas A. Edison with the invention of electrical devices. We need to capitalize the T in Thomas, the A for his initial, and the E in Edison because that's his name, including his initial, so it needs to all be capitalized. Number 2, I am going to ask Auntie to take me to the library. Here we capitalize the A for Auntie because that's a family word. It's used in place of her name. We're not saying my auntie, we're just saying Auntie. Number 3, the student needs one more Spanish class in order to graduate. Here we capitalize the word Spanish because it's derived from a proper noun, from Spain. Number 4, oh no, Dad, our phone service has been discontinued. We need to capitalize the O in oh no because it starts our sentence. We need to capitalize the D in Dad because we're using that as his name. It's in place of his name, so we need to make sure that it's capitalized. Number 5, we capitalize Barbara Bush because that's her name. It also starts our sentence. And then we have President is his title. George H.W. and Bush would be his name. H.W. are his initials. And number 6, my dad refuses to install cable television. We only capitalize the my because it begins our sentence. We don't capitalize Dad because that's not his name. We couldn't put his name in there, and it has the possessive pronoun in front of it. Okay, so for grammar, your homework is to complete More Practice Lesson 26, page 90. Again, you're circling those letters that need to be capitalized. On to writing. We are talking about using transitions. In writing, your ideas should flow smoothly. People should be easily led when they're reading your writing. They should be easily led from one topic to the next. So transitions within paragraphs connect your ideas, showing how they are related, why this topic goes with another topic in your paragraph. Transitions can also be used to connect paragraphs. So when you switch over your paragraph, a transition will smoothly take you from one paragraph into the next paragraph, where you're changing your topic slightly, but you're not changing the overall idea. It makes sense that you would have these two paragraphs in the same piece of writing. So we're going to look at this chart of some transitions, some very common transitions. So you can use transitions to show time order. Time order. So time order would be, what comes first, what comes second, what comes last. If you're talking about one event, but then something else that happens at the same time, but in a different place, you might use the term meanwhile. So this is happening over here. Meanwhile, over here, this is happening. Or maybe you want to say that this happened, later something else happened. So that's your time order. You also can use transitions to show spatial order. So spatial order talks about where things are in your paragraph. So if you're talking about maybe inside a building, that shows spatial order. It gives your reader an idea of where they are. You might also use the word behind or in the center. Anything along those lines would work. There's more. These are not the only transitions in these categories. Okay, order of importance. So order of importance shows what topics they want you to focus on most and what not so much. What is more important, what has more relativity in your paragraph, which enforces your point more, things like that. What's your strongest point? So words like second show that this comes first, this comes next. Weakest, that just states very clearly that it is less important because it's the weakest. Most important, again, it tells you that's the thing that's most important. Least important, less important, all of those things show importance. So it's a transition from one idea to the next, showing which ones are more important, which ones prove your ideas better than the others, things like that. We also have transitions showing comparison. So you're comparing two or more things. So we use the word like for that to show when things are alike. We use similarly, again, to show that things are alike. And we can use either or to compare something is like this, or it's like this, or you can go with this option, or you can go with this option. That's either or. You can use in contrast. You could say dissimilarly, unlike, neither. All of those things would be comparison transitions. Now we have contrast. Contrast shows a difference. Comparison is often showing a similarity, so how things are alike, but you can show contrast with comparison as well. But contrast is purely showing the differences. So you can use words like instead, she did this instead of that. You can use words like however, or on the other hand, so showing two different opinions. That's contrast. We also have cause and effect. Cause and effect. So that is one thing happens, and because that happens, something else happens. So we can use the word because. Or maybe you're also showing that because something happened, this is what caused it. We can use the word therefore. This happens, therefore this happened. or even as a result. As a result of this, this happened. So all of those show a cause and effect. So you need now to excuse me, complete page 82 using transitions. So the directions say, read the composition below and answer the questions that follow. We're not going to do it together like we've been doing your other stuff because these are pretty straightforward questions, okay? So you're looking for the transitions, you're analyzing the paragraph for the transitions. So you need to read your paragraph very carefully and then answer those questions. And of course, you can always let me know if you're struggling, if you need a little help. All right? Have a wonderful day, guys. Love you very much.